I'm back to it. Thanks for waiting, everybody. So I currently have 101, I believe, Dalmatians. $60 tier characters finished. 101. 101 finished. I had a little boo-boo and I skipped over a couple that I'm going to finish right now and then get back to the rest of them. I'm going to try to do a stream almost every day this week, so I can see if I can possibly finish them all, this whole tier by the end of the week. So, yeah, but here we go. All right, time for a guesto. It's a Zachary.
Hello, Emerald City. What's happening?
What?
That's my radio voice.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Don't quit your day job. Wow, Chris, way to be a fucking douchebag. How are you, sir?
I am doing great.
Yeah, you've not joined us in a while.
No, I haven't.
No, actually,
Here, hang
I
on.
haven't had a guest in a while, like in general. I realize. But,
Oh well.
oh
It's a
well.
better way to stay focused, I think.
No, it's nice to have company. I'm still equally. Although that said, I'm about to do a character that requires me to read a lot of text to get all the details of correctly in a minute. So my timing
Um,
is ill, but I'll manage somehow. So
we can read it together while holding hands.
yes. Also, everybody out there, I've had now a few cases where people for this tier only send me details for one of the two characters they're supposed to get, and they're supposed to have two. So I've sent out some emails to people to remind them, hey, please give me the details for the other one so I can do both of the characters that are part of your reward. But
If you don't do it, your partner character is going to be a palette swap of your other character.
I actually was thinking of doing something like that.
Please
Not
don't.
that I so far, it's funny. There was one person who was convinced that all of the backer characters were just going to be like, oh god, it's just going to be like some like drag and drop like like one of those like Sonic like create your own character, not the Sonic Forces thing, but like those DeviantArt kind of like Flash things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like they were so sure that like I was going to go super lazy, and the only time that I've done that. The only cases where I've done that at all for the whole game have been sort of the roach enemies, and then the some of the NPCs, all of which you designed. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, that was the palette swappy nature of that was deliberate. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like
But then like for like the what's it called the villagers, like I just made like a second color scheme for each of the different kinds and everything for each region and everything. And then
yeah.
so far for all of these backer characters, in all the several hundred that I've done so far, the only thing even close to a palette swap I've done was that somebody donated for I think it was like a Final Fantasy 14 character, like whatever the cat people race is of that game. And they were like, oh, this one, and then her sister, and she looks kind of like her. So I was able to like kind of finagle using some of the same assets and stuff for both. But otherwise, that's literally the only time. Everything else has been from the ground up every time. So
Yeah, you gotta work your ass off because you're an art machine.
Yep, that's me.
That's how you. Holy crap, Adam! I see Adam in the chat.
Hey, he's always in the chat.
Yeah, Adam Tilford.
Yes.
For the 32 people watching right now, Adam Tilford has a really awesome animated web series called Shattered Heaven.
Yes.
If you go to http://www.shatteredheaven.com, you can view all of his episodes for free.
For free. Do it now.
For free.
Yes. I have.
And if you don't like it, you can't complain because it's free.
That's true. Also, I have lines to record for it that I haven't yet.
We should probably get on
I
that.
probably should. Sorry, Adam. Sorry, I'm such a plebeian. The new Eevee evolution, plebeian.
Adam says he didn't pay for this plug. He paid for it with his hard work and determination.
That's true. Like some kind of Undertale child.
Yeah, freaking grinding that shit all on his own. That's insane.
Yeah. And he didn't even have as much help like I did, so he deserves even more credit than me.
I think you both deserve equal credit.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I love it.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm now actually watching the stream now, and I see two characters. Are they the same character, or is this one of those like two for one?
So this tier is the $60 tier, and like I mentioned before, every one of these backers gets two characters.
Dope.
So they so like these two are this backer's two characters, and I just did one of them, and now I'm doing the other one. Excuse me. I have to read these instructions very carefully because there's many details to this one.
Oh man, two Jerry's just left.
They what?
Oh, we're just expressing our distaste for Jerry in the chat, and then
Who's Jerry?
apparently three people because they just left after I said fuck Jerry.
Well,
Sorry, Jerry. So what is this? What has he got? I see a black strand on the ref. What is that?
yeah, it's some kind of like snake thing. I'm not sure. Hold on, I'm just trying to. Oh, they're tails. Oh.
Oh. Hey, can we talk about Venom? Is that okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not seeing it, so.
Oh, then we don't have to talk about Venom.
I mean, you can talk about Venom. I don't care.
Were you planning on seeing it?
Probably not.
It was probably for the best.
Yeah. Although it's funny because several friends of mine, having seen it, actually have been enjoying it. So
Yeah, I hear that it's not terrible, and then I hear that it's good, but I watched it and I wanted to die
Well,
like, like the
that's
entire way
really
through.
sad for you.
Do you have any background with the comic
No,
mythos?
no, I don't. I don't read.
I,
I don't read any comics.
I
So.
I don't either. So what I don't understand is like why is there always this push to make Venom a good guy?
Well, I mean, hold on. Sorry. Let me just finish reading this. This is a lot of detail for this character, and I'm just trying to make sure I get as much of it right as I can.
Okay.
But I do want to talk about this. Sorry. Okay. Oh, fuck off. Red and then black. Yes. Okay. Skulls, grayish white. Skull, ice, blue. Okay. Okay. All right.
This is a fun stream.
It's a difficult one. Okay. All right. Cool. Here's my thing with Venom. Venom is to me is a character who. So, I have a philosophy about how certain characters I feel work better inherently when they are paired with another character on a totally like different kind of example. Did you watch Inuyasha at all back in the day when that was a thing?
No.
Okay, so there was a character in Inuyasha named Sesshomaru. He was like he was the Shadow the Hedgehog of the show. He was like a dark brooding like I'm your brother who wants to get revenge on you, and also I want to be the one who gets the super cool sword or whatever. And he's super super fucking serious and dire. And when he first shows up, he's by himself, and he's cool and he's interesting because it's his first time that he does his thing, right? And then they continue to have him come back, and he continues to be he doesn't change. He's always that super serious, whatever. But he is made interesting because he is accompanied by a couple of characters who are funny and comedic, and they serve to like add like I don't know brevity's not the right word. They just add like variation with him, and they help to like balance out like the seriousness and like help with like a nice contrast, you know. And then like
Yeah.
on another kind of example, and this is entirely a personal opinion. I mean, all this is personal opinion, but a lot of people feel differently about Superman. I personally tend to only find Superman interesting when he is the leader of the Justice League. Because, to me, by himself, he's not very interesting. I don't think he's a bad character. I just don't find him to be personally very interesting. But when he's paired up with other characters, especially when he's in kind of like a leadership position and has to take care of and look out for all these different people and everything, that makes him inherently more interesting just as a character by himself. So with Venom, I feel that Venom, that's when Ben Diskin is Venom. He has been before. Venom, to me, is only interesting when he is paired up with Spider-Man. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be a bad guy all the time, but I find him to be the most interesting specifically when he is at least paired up with Spider-Man as some kind of like package deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in the Venom movie, the origin story has nothing to do with Spider-Man.
Well, not that his origin story has anything to do with Spider-Man. Typically, it just always starts with the symbiote.
Right,
And then,
but the actual origin story is the one in Spider-Man 3. Like that was faithful, as far as I know, that's faithful to the comics.
yes, and then there's also been other examples, and there's been other kind of versions of Venom and shit. But yeah, that's most often that's the one that people go for is the original one with Eddie Brock and his whole fixation on Peter and everything. Yes, that's true.
But then in the movie, you have Venom, a character who looks like Spider-Man, which is the point, because it started as like the black Spider-Man suit, and so he looks like Spider-Man. But the movie is like, as far as the movie is concerned, he has nothing to do with Spider-Man at all.
Nope.
So
supposedly, because of some weird rights bullshit, I think that Spider-Man: Homecoming, technically can be in the same universe as that movie. I think, but I don't care, and that doesn't make me want to see it more. And it's it doesn't help it from necessarily not being that interesting to me inherently. And if anything, I'm mainly just upset that it because of also the weird rights bullshit, it can't be part of the MCU. So even more, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're already setting up a Venom sequel, so I don't think we're going to see Venom in the MCU anytime soon.
Nope.
Apparently, after 2020, even Marvel loses the rights to Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I heard something to that effect. As soon as 2020 rolls around, it's going to go back to Sony, and they're going to continue to make shitty Spider-Man movies for the rest of time.
Yeah, that's not my favorite, because Homecoming was excellent, and I know that they're doing another MCU Spider-Man movie of some kind.
Yeah, Far From Home.
Yeah, but that's annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying because really, as far as superheroes go, I'm not a superhero person, but I'm always down for Batman and Spider-Man. I love The Dark Knight, and I love I actually really do like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, but I don't like the Amazing Spider-Mans, but I like the Sam Raimi ones. But overall, Spider-Man is just such an appealing superhero.
Yeah, well, of course.
So is Batman. Just because it's they're both so urban.
Yeah.
And
they're super relatable and, extremely recognizable. They're all good characters, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love Spider-Man. Amy and I just played through all of the PS4 game, and she fucking platinumed that shit.
Is it easy to plat? Because I hear about a lot of people platting it.
She managed to get through the whole thing pretty quick. There's certain missions that were more annoying than others. Some of the crime fights were a little annoying and like a few of the certain challenges, but like overall it's pretty doable, I would say.
Yeah.
And just the game is fucking fun. So. But,
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. E3 made it look fake.
no, it's actually very, very, very good, and like not
Yeah.
just for like a licensed game. Like it's a good game.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm a little bummed about just Venom in general. It's I don't have much interest in seeing the movie. So.
Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I'll avoid talking about plot stuff just in case anyone in the chat gives a shit.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just like I thought there's so much nothing that happens in the film that I genuinely thought I just found this out yesterday. It's 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought that it was an hour and a half long. And I was like, I was insisting to my friends. We watched The Shining yesterday because it just got on Netflix, and we were talking about how bad Venom is because we had all seen it, and I was saying, yeah, that movie was like an hour and a half long, and then everyone corrected me, and we had to look it up, and I was stunned because there's just so much nothing that happens in the film that it makes it feel shorter than it is. I don't know if it's because like my brain just couldn't comprehend so much nothing over a period of time, or I was like phasing out. I don't know, but
that's sad.
yeah, the plot jumps from point to point just really, really fast, and it's 2.5 hours, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, you compare it to something like The Dark Knight, where like it's a freaking roller coaster ride, and as soon as you think you're about to get off, it goes for another spin,
Yeah. God,
and
2.5 hours for Venom.
Yeah. And the Shining is also 2.5 hours, and it's on Netflix for free, so you could, make your choice from there.
Yeah. When I was coming back from Georgia for Anime Week in Atlanta, I didn't bring anything to do on the plane, and I also didn't have any headphones, so I watched some movies like silent. But I watched Avengers: Infinity War just to like kill like 2.5 hours. See, that's a movie. I don't care what anybody fucking says. That's a movie that like is completely warranted to have 2.5 hours of screen time.
Wait, which movie?
Avengers: Infinity War.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that film is, and again, I feel like it should be a testament to how well crafted that film is because I'm not a Marvel person at all, and anyone who knows me can attest to that. I'm constantly, I'm constantly complaining about Marvel, but I really liked Infinity War, and it was just so well paced that Disney has this thing about making their movies always 90 minutes long, and as far as Infinity War goes, it feels like it's 90 minutes long, but that's just because it's so well paced.
Yeah,
you're so enthralled in every scene, and I thought that movie was great.
Yeah, I mean, even like Amy's only seen like a handful. She's watching more of them, but she's only seen like a handful of the MCU movies because she's not really big into them either. But she watched Infinity War, and she was like, "Oh, this is actually really good." Even like without knowing like all the backstory of a lot of the characters that were in them, she was just like, "No, this is just good. It's cool. It's a good movie." I was like, "Oh, sweet." So, it's, not probably another testament in and of itself, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a well crafted film, regardless of the, how you feel about the source material. And a film for all ages too. Bring your kids.
Super happy.
Bring your kids. Yep. No, honey, Spider-Man is just sleeping.
just sleeping. Just no. He's going to another dimension.
He actually had nausea. He was nauseous when he says, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good."
Oh, the actor?
No. I'm just saying. Oh. Mommy, why did Spider-Man say that? Because he's actually sick.
Oh yeah, he's he's just God, this is like how like old anime were censored and shit. God. You know, I was just thinking about, it's a little off topic, but I was just thinking about that, how like I'm so happy that that's like barely ever a thing anymore, like at all. When you have like anime that's on TV, like there's so little of that kind of shit that's like censored anymore. It just like is what it is.
Oh yeah.
You know, and even more so, there's it barely happens anymore. Where like, you know, they're changing the actual story as well, which is my bigger problem than like because censorship. It's like, yeah, I get it, but like when you're actually changing like what the fucking story is, like that I hate more than anything.
No, well that actually swings us back around to Venom because the chat's been talking about it, but.
Yeah.
They actually cut like over 30 minutes of the film to get it a PG-13 rating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it meant to be a lot grittier originally?
Yeah, and even I don't know if you saw it, but DC did this really stupid Twitter thing because apparently in I think in Deadpool 2, he like makes a jab at DC. He's like, "Wow, you're dark and gritty. You must be from a DC thing." Or I don't know what he says. I haven't seen Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
But he takes a jab at DC cuz you know, they're trying to be so like dark and like fuck Batman.
Uh-huh.
And DC released this video on Twitter and it said the quote that Deadpool says, and then they showed like footage from action scenes in Venom. And then they said like "suck it, Mr. Pool," and it was supposed to be like this big like oh Deadpool got owned thing, but then the film comes out and it's completely tame. There is no blood in Venom.
Yeah. See, and that's another thing. Like now that I'm thinking about it, like, and not I don't like gore and shock value or whatever. Like I'm not into that, but like that's not an appeal factor for me. But for something like Venom, where like that's to its strength because of the way that the character is, the fact that they like, and I mean like I'm not blaming the filmmakers because like that might just have been circumstance. You know, who knows? But I don't know. Like that's a shame that like, oh yeah, we can't probably go as dark as maybe potentially as much as they would have liked to. I don't know like what specifically was cut, but if it was like, you know, darker shit, like that's a character that would lend itself well, excuse me, in a different way than Deadpool, to being an R-rated superhero movie.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not saying it as like, you know, I went to Venom hoping for blood and guts and I didn't get any, but like, people, I mentioned this in the chat already, but people get like straight up impaled.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where a character like takes two blades and like swipes them in like a wide, you know, like a wide stroke, and like it's heavily implied that he like beheads 3 people, but you just kind of see him fall to the floor dead, and there's like no blood. And if you want to take me out of your dark and gritty movie, the best way to do that is to have a guy straight up get impaled and then have the thing that impaled him be pulled out of him, which would result in blood. And there's just, you know, nothing. And Venom eats a lot of people. And every single scene where he eats someone, it's always like the camera facing his face, and then his mouth like zooms in on the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's essentially eating the camera, and then the camera like immediately pans away to something else. So the person's getting eaten off screen. And it's like every single time. I think he eats like 3 or 4 people in the film, and every single time it's like crunch. They get eaten off screen. And then their body's just gone. And Venom's like licking his lips or whatever. It's seriously like so tame, and it's just amazing how insistent DC is on just like constantly shooting themselves in the freaking foot every single time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It sucks because my 2 favorite superheroes are in the hands of Sony and DC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, DC isn't even, like, man, I loved Justice League so much. Like, the
film?
series. The series, no, the
Oh,
series. No, I haven't seen the film. I haven't seen any of it. I've seen Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman was, like, okay. I actually don't even think it was as good as people said it was. Sorry to say.
I haven't seen it yet.
But, like, I fucking love this series so much. Young Justice was fucking incredible. I'm super excited for season 3 of that. But you know, like, I have no interest in their movies. I'm not really interested in Justice League Action. I hear it's pretty okay, but like I don't know, I'm not super into it. And like I haven't been watching very many of their direct-to-video animated movies anymore either. There's been a few of them that I've really liked in the last few years, but like not like a shit ton of them or anything necessarily. But just it's such a letdown because like I like DC. I like DC characters a lot, and I like, you know, their IPs, but yeah, I don't know, just they're not doing it for me anymore. And like I've kind of, you know, just because of the MCU track record, I've kind of been converted almost entirely to the Marvel side by now.
It's trend chasing,
Yeah.
is what it is. It's like, you know, I think we've talked about this before, but like Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much popularized the play, you know, contemporary music in scenes where it seems out of place, but it ends up complementing the scene. You know,
Yeah.
like the introductory scene for Star-Lord is it that scene alone broke ground. It like set a precedent just because of how, you know,
Like silly
amazingly
yeah.
eclectic it was.
Yeah.
And you know, no one was doing anything like that before then, as far as the superhero market goes. I mean,
Yeah.
so everyone loved that. So immediately they're like, "Oh shoot! Well, we're already making Suicide Squad. We need to make it like Guardians of the Galaxy now."
Yeah.
And it's just like every single time Marvel makes Deadpool, um, you know, dark and gritty.
Which isn't Marvel Studios.
No,
That's Fox.
yeah, but my point is like, you know, just like the property. And you know, DC sees that and is like, oh shoot, everyone loves this stuff. We gotta, you know, make a gory comedic farce movie. And it's just like every single time, like Marvel does something that sort of shakes the, I don't know, birdcage. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But DC is immediately like dropping everything, doing reshoots. They did it with Justice League. They reshot like more than half of Justice League, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, just to turn it into more of a comedy. And yeah, just always doing that. And I mean, it kind of seems. I don't think I'm going to see Aquaman, but it kind of seems like they're finally just, you know, doing their thing. And because Aquaman, I don't know, the trailer looked okay.
I just don't care that much about Aquaman.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's
See,
Aquaman.
and here's the other difference. Here's the other difference. And like, you know, I like Aquaman. Again, I like Aquaman in what's it called? In Justice League, the series. I thought it was super cool. Here's the other thing is like for instance, you know, God, Thor. Even no, not even. I have all these characters in Avengers. I didn't know fucking anything about. I knew about X-Men, and I knew about Spider-Man. You know, from the bits that I knew from like the shows or whatever. I didn't know fucking anything about any of the Avengers characters other than they exist. And like, oh yeah, I know I've played as them probably in like Marvel vs. Capcom or whatever, and like I know that they're from Marvel Comics and they're part of the Avengers or whatever. Like that was my knowledge, you know. And then
Yeah.
fucking now all these MCU movies, because they're good, have made me like Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and Captain America, who now I adore, you know, and like Guardians and even fucking like I now I'm not skeptical at all. You know, when I go in, I'm not, and that's another conversation you and I have had, but like I'm not jaded when they're like, oh, here's Doctor Strange. I don't know fucking anything about Doctor Strange, but I'm so consistently impressed by the quality of these Marvel movies that I trust I'm going to go in and then I'm going to like Doctor Strange as a character. And I did. It's exactly what fucking happens every single time. So, you know, and so when they get to like, and you know, next up it's Captain fucking Marvel. I don't know anything about Captain Marvel. And I'm sure by the end of the movie, I'll probably really like it. I'll like her as a character. You know.
Yeah, and that's just because like they're so good at just crafting films. Like,
yeah. You know, I'm not denouncing people's like, you know, superhero movie fatigue. You know, that's perfectly legitimate. Of you know, because it's the same reason why like people are like, I'm sick of fucking like this video game franchise. It just keeps doing the same thing over and over, and I'm like, it's not because it's bad. It's because you're just bored. You know, people just get bored with stuff and they grow out of things and then they want something different and something else.
yeah.
Sometimes there have been cases where the superhero movies have even done that. Case in point with Guardians or with Deadpool and that kind of thing. And I mean, like, DC has just been trying to do this for so long and it keeps falling flat. And, you know, actually, it's interesting because even on the note of the Venom movie again for a second, you know what's interesting about that is, to me, it was clear that, like, Venom was the character that was always like, we're leading up to Venom because everybody fucking wants Venom, but we got to get there first, you know? Which is why, of course, they wouldn't have him so soon. And even Sam Raimi didn't intend to have him in 3. And then, you know, Sony was like, fucking put him in 3 already, stop waiting. And then, you know, as a result of that, I think 3 could have been great. 3 could have been great if it was the Sandman story and then Harry as the Goblin is like the surprise thing. 3 could have been good, and then we'd have a very different universe of, you know, of Spider-Man movies, mayhaps. Who knows?
Yeah.
But who knows? Either way, yeah. And then, you know, I'm sure probably down the line, regardless of the fact that obviously, you know, Raimi didn't like Venom as a character in general. But if they had given him time to build, you know, we could have seen him by what was ultimately going to be 4 and 5. Excuse me. But, you know, shit happened and then we didn't. And then now this is the way it is. And I'm sure eventually if the Amazing movies continued as planned, they probably would have eventually, you know, because I think also wasn't the plan at one point to be like the Venom movie was going to be part of the Amazing Spider-Man thing, and then eventually they were going to cross paths and like have that be a whole thing together. I feel like I remember something about that.
I think the Venom movie was gonna, because they were like, their cinematic universe was gonna be focused on Spider-Man villains.
Right. Okay.
So you had like the Sinister Six or whatever they were gonna call it. They pretty much blew their load at the end of Spider-Man 2 when the guy's just walking down a hallway and you see I think you even see the symbiote in that hallway.
I don't think you see the symbiote, but I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where they're like, here's all the weapons of the villains that are going to be happening soon. You know.
Yeah, and it's like, well, then what? Like, someone just hands all the villains their superpowers?
They introduced this mysterious character who was like the fucking weapons broker or whatever. You know.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think Venom was going to be a part of that. I don't think Venom was going to cross paths with Spider-Man at all. I could be wrong. I'm not.
Well, I mean, at the very least, I imagine that like that was the ultimate like goal eventually. Which I mean, that's inherently, to me anyway, not a good idea because that goes against what I'm talking about. Where like I don't think Venom is interesting without Spider-Man involved. But like, yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, I mean, I know very little about Carnage. But it always also seems to me like Carnage is like, like, I hate to make this compare. No, I don't. This comparison's hilarious to me. It's like we're like, okay, now Shadow the Hedgehog is domesticated, but we still want to have like an evil hedgehog character. Hey, let's make Mephiles.
No, I get what you're saying.
You know, where it's like, by the time, okay, if I'll just picture, if you will, like hypothetically, if say they fucking did, you know, more of the Raimi movies, like just that continued, right? So Venom would be introduced in like 4 or 5, like properly, and not just like you have to put him in now. So there, right? And
yeah.
and then that's all well and good, and then fucking, the Venom would be, taken care of or whatever, and then maybe eventually become like a good guy or an anti-hero or whatever, what have you. And then Carnage would happen, and Carnage would be like now we have to team up and fight an even worse symbiote that doesn't even have a consciousness. He's just like pure, he's like Kid Buu. He's just like, complete, just kill everything. Like, at least that's like the impression that I've gotten from everything I've ever seen of Carnage and like other interpretations and things. I don't know necessarily, but I don't know that's always what it seemed like they were like eventually kind of like aiming for, but who knows? Who can say? I guess I could be totally wrong about that. But
I don't think they plan ahead like that.
No.
No, and that's not like, to say like you're wrong to even like think that they would, but more that I just don't think Hollywood is that smart. I don't think that they're like, obviously setup culture exists in the sense that like, you gotta set up for the sequel. What are you doing if you're not setting up for the sequel? Even Venom set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
And that movie, and I mean, it'll get its sequel because it made freaking shit tons of money.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna get its sequel, but when it's like, oh yeah, and then we'll introduce Venom here, it's like, no. I mean, if you look at Marvel's like release schedule, even it's like untitled whatever movie 2022.
Well, we know like close to nothing about Phase 4. Like in general, we know like very, 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 very little right now.
About what?
About the Phase 4 of Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh.
We know that there's, which also, by this point, if you haven't seen fucking Infinity War, I can't do anything for you. Sorry, but
spoiler alert. Close the stream.
Sure, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
No, don't go. But whatever. Who gives a shit? So, no. Who gives a shit about if spoilers at this point? Like, sorry, not sorry. They've already confirmed that they're doing another Spider-Man movie and another Black Panther movie. So obviously, they're gonna come back and somehow get revived. It's like no big fucking secret there, obviously. Through whatever means that they do. And
it's like Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
You can't let him die because if Optimus Prime is dead, then you can't sell action figures. That's seriously what it is.
Uh-huh. But other than that, they haven't confirmed much of anything else yet. The kind of word is that between this time and now, and also by the point that X-Men Dark Phoenix is going to be over, which speaking of that, that's a whole other thing in and of itself. But that's excuse me. The word going around is that Phase 4 is going to introduce the X-Men into the MCU.
Ugh.
Yeah. I have my reservations about it also. I fucking love the X-Men, obviously. And like, there's prospects of that are exciting. But, I'm definitely like wary of like, all right, well, I hope you do it right.
It's just so depressing. Because, like, if you've seen Logan, knowing that they're just going to bring Wolverine back.
And it'll be, their own Wolverine. They'll get a different guy. I think Hugh Jackman even said he would want to be involved with whoever gets picked next to play the character in live action.
He would want to be involved?
Yeah.
As in, like, training them?
Or like
consulting?
I don't know. Maybe that might be wrong about that. I feel like I heard something about how he would want to be involved with like selecting the next actor to play Wolverine in movies. But I don't know. I could be wrong about that. So don't quote me.
I'm just kind of hoping that like you know, it's like as far as Marvel goes, I really hope that Phase 4 is just like a hard reset.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think they're gonna do that anytime soon.
Do you know what I mean though?
Yeah, I know
Like
what you
like
mean, but I don't think they're
yeah,
gonna
I
do that.
I, I don't mean like, you know, hard reset as in like make a new Iron Man 1, but like, you know, cuz Robert Downey Jr. is done. Chris Evans is done.
Yeah,
He even posted like a Twitter thingy saying that he's like, you know, all the like a memorial post essentially.
yeah,
And yeah, they're like done. So what I'm hoping for is, you know, rather than just bring back Captain America under a new actor, I would much rather just, you know, see like a whole new universe using anyone else among their myriad of superheroes because they have so many.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like I'm sure, we'll because okay, if hypothetically, right, they actually kill off or write out whatever they finish their usage of Iron Man, Captain America, maybe Thor, who knows, whoever else might be like actually on the chopping block for real. They have like there's all these other characters that they have established that they can do new stuff with. You know, Black Panther was huge. Doctor Strange. I don't know about Doctor Strange necessarily. That'll depend, I
They
guess, on
set up for a sequel.
yeah. I
in
guess
Doctor
that one more so depends on like Benedict Cumberbatch, if like you know his level of being down to clown with that. But yeah, I don't know. But no, I think that I think that they'll do more other and different things. But I don't know. I trust that they'll be good because their track record so far has been generally really good. So I'm not
Yeah.
too worried, I guess, if anything.
Whoa, I like that guy on the left. That's a cool design.
Yeah, with the wings. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm up to 120 characters I've gotten finished so far.
Oh, just hearing that gives me like an ulcer.
Actually, no, sorry. Technically 118 because there's a couple that are missing because I didn't get their details from from the donators. But hopefully I will because I would like to be able to do all the ones that were donated for. So, how's the thing you're working on coming along?
Oh shit.
Oh shit! I distracted you with all my Venom talk.
Pretty good. You know how when we talk, I tend to like zone out and just draw whatever.
Uh huh.
Here, I'll show you what I just drew.
Is it
I don't
something?
have Skype on.
Is it
I
something
don't have.
I can show on the stream?
Oh yeah,
Oh sweet.
yeah. It's nothing spoilery. I don't have Skype on this thing though, so I'm gonna have to send it to you through my phone.
Oh no.
No.
No! Why are shits coming out of the base?
Hope that's not too long. Okay, good. I will email this to myself. The main cast also stated that they wouldn't act in the film. Now that, oh, they're talking about. Yeah, they're talking about James Gunn. I don't think they said that. They just posted a letter.
Oh, what about Guardians 3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think the main cast is like boycotting the film. I think they just posted a letter stating their disagreement.
Yeah.
They're still going to act for that sweet, sweet Marvel money.
Yeah. Well, and also probably because they have to because of contractual shit. So.
Yeah, I'm sure they're under a contract.
Come on, man. There we go. The people who donated for these, I haven't heard too many cases of like, oh, that's my character, of like people coming in from out of the woodwork to see it or whatever. It's been rare. Unless I'm just missing them in the chat or whatever.
I have no idea.
Well, then
You could, if you wanted them to watch, you could like tag them when you do a stream announcement.
I mean, I can't do that for every individual person.
Oh,
I haven't been doing that. If I just started now, it would be kind of unfair. So.
I see.
Oh, that's cool. Let me move that over to here. Here's a cool picture of Kirby sitting on a dinosaur that he just murdered in cold blood.
You have to read the whole title of the image.
No, I'm just describing what I see.
Oh, well, you got pretty close to the actual name
Yeah,
of
and
the
also I
file.
read the title of the image, you stupid motherfucker. This is drawn by Mr. Zach. You can follow him on Twitter at DyingMars. You should do that.
Oh,
You should do that post haste.
I was gonna color it, but then I decided that I don't want it.
Yeah, you decided.
Wade, I'd go with you, but I don't want to. Okay, I'll get going on that thing now that I promised you that I'd do, that I didn't do.
Well, only because you're leaving soon, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I still have stuff I gotta go buy.
Wow.
I gotta go buy a new sketchbook so I can draw while I'm gone.
Yeah. You know. You know.
Did you say you wanted this thing not to get boring, but did you say you wanted this thing at a maximum of 1080 in height or at least
Yeah,
1080?
yeah, maximum of 1080 height.
Okay.
It can be wider than the reference image that I gave. If it's
How much wider?
not too much because it's got to be in that vicinity that I showed you the other night. So.
Okay, so are we talking like portrait, not landscape? You get what I'm saying?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that ought to do it. Do you want it animated? Did you get that thing I sent you?
What?
Did you get that GIF I sent you?
Send me a GIF.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a GIF?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Jesus fucking Christ. Hold on. It just showed up as an image, as like a single frame.
Look what I did, Curve. Nice dot.
I thought you were fucking with me. Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. There it is. Just fucking. Hold on. Play it for fuck's sake. My computer does not like to fucking play GIFs, apparently.
Who's Peter Potamus?
He's
Oh, you get that thing I sent you?
yeah. Will this play? Okay, well. No, it won't. Okay, it didn't even send as a GIF, so I can't fucking see it as a GIF. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. It's weird
Sorry,
because
Skype. It's
it's
because
playing on my phone.
yeah, it's not. I can't even save it as a GIF. Or no, I
Uh,
did save it as a GIF, but it's saved only as the first frame for some reason.
let's try this.
Nope, it's not gonna work.
Dick balls.
You'd have to like email it to me.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a lot of trouble.
To answer your question though, if you want to do like 2 frames of it, and I can have them like kind of like fade in and out of each other or something, maybe I can see about that.
Yeah. Do you want the edges faded like the thing, like the reference?
Yeah, because it should be like
Okay.
the thing that I described yesterday.
Yeah.
So, okay. Love this.
Private talk.
Love this.
Real stream.
Behind the scenes action.
I just sent you an email.
Okay. Oh, there it goes. Ooh, neato. That's cool as shit. Very cool.
Thank you. I've never done it before.
Huh?
I've never done it before. I've never.
No? That was cool.
No, I've only ever animated 2 things. There was one thing I animated of a robot. Its head opened up and turned into a gun.
Huh.
And then there was another one that I don't even remember what it was, but I don't animate often.
Yeah. But when I do.
It's hard because I have to save every frame as its own file, and then I have to upload them all onto a GIF making site because I don't have Flash. Real behind the scenes action that you can't see. That's right.
Next year, when I finish all the backer characters and we're integrating more of the actual content and everything, I'm going to have a very different kind of way of providing updates. I'm going to do like these probably like little monthly videos that are like talking about very specific things and kind of showcasing different stuff like that. It'll be cool. You'll all see. But in the meantime, this year has been like mostly just like, hey, here's what I've been making so far. You know, just basic shit like that. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we beat the extra boss you can fight against in Undertale for Switch yesterday.
Which one?
Is there more than one?
Yeah, there are 2 extra bosses.
Oh, we beat Mad Mew Mew. What's the other one?
You beat what?
Mad Mew Mew.
I've never even heard of that.
What? Then what are the 2 that you're talking about?
I'm talking about what's his name? Asriel?
That's not a...
There's a boss you can fight by doing by like making friends with everybody. It's like a full pacifist run, and it's the final boss of that. And then
That's not
the final.
That's not a Switch exclusive thing.
Oh, it's a Switch thing.
Yeah, I'm talking about this. Yeah. I mean like there was a new boss that they added for the Switch version of Undertale specifically.
I see.
Yeah.
Then I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, then never mind. Good talk.
Was it fun?
It was cool. I couldn't do it, and then Amy beat it. It was actually pretty neat because like it used a mechanic. It used a mechanic specifically with the Joy-Cons.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So it was.
I love motion
It's all
controls.
doable on the Nintendo Switch. Whoa.
Yeah, motion controls are my favorite thing ever.
No, it wasn't motion controls.
Oh.
In fact, actually, there was even a joke about how he couldn't get motion controls to work with the game. So no, it's just it. I guess technically it could be done on something other than a Switch because it was just with any controller that uses two joysticks.
Yeah.
Because that's specifically what it was. Is you control like two halves of a heart with the red and blue Joy-Cons. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, Undertale is such a special game.
It is.
I'm like, whenever someone talks about Undertale, you always get some guy person who piped up and is like, the fandom sucks.
Oh, Undertale. Oh, God. So 2
Well,
years
just like,
ago.
the fandom, it's so Tumblr or whatever. And it's like, fuck you. The game is unlike anything.
Yeah.
Like in this era of, inspired buys and things like that. You could
Sorry. Continue to talk. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Now that Chris is gone, I'm going to take this opportunity to say a few words about what it's like to work with him. I'm scared. I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for my financial well-being. As I mentioned in the chat earlier, I have to live no further than 5 miles away so I can be at his house in like 3 minutes. And I have to ride my bike, and it gets really cold sometimes because we're almost at winter. And his hand's been hurting a lot lately, and he's been forcing me to rub it with avocado oil, and it's been a really weird experience, and I'm not sure I want to work on this project anymore. Just because when I signed up for it, I didn't think that it was going to be the kind of job where I had to actually do physical therapy because I'm not licensed. I'm not a licensed physical therapist. Somebody please help me. Call the police. Is he gone? Is he back? He moves so quiet. No, I do not need an adult. I am an adult. That makes me even more scared.
So you were saying about Undertale?
And working with him is just a fantastic experience.
Oh, you're talking about me? Oh, dude, thanks. That's so nice of you. Really appreciate it. Get back in your cage. Anyway.
I was talking about how I have to massage your hand with avocado oil because it's been hurting so bad.
I heard you. I can hear you when I go to the bathroom, Zach. Jesus, way to ruin the joke. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually, crap. Hold on. This is another one. I have to read this so I can. Okay. Use young man. Okay. Boyish face. This is my process, my thought process, like spoken aloud when I do the ones that are just written descriptions. Okay. Boyish face, wavy, dark brown, short hair, curls on his end. Okay. All right. Hazel eyes. And a Roman nose. Sounds like me. Medium ears, fair skin. Also has a lean body. Build that isn't overly thin nor tall. Okay. Presence and appearances, boyish arts and innocence, plays and knowledge, wisdom. Half is a mixture of robes, a hoodie. Give him the praying thing. Blue, black, gold. Okay. Forming various ancient mystical symbols. Also, okay.
This is the part of the stream where Chris just reads from a written description.
Okay. All right, I got it. Anyway, so there's nothing else on Earth like Undertale. Yes. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, you could even say that it's like, inspired by Earthbound, but it's really not.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
only in certain aspects, but like gameplay-wise, it's pretty unique, I would say. It's like
yeah,
it's
just
a
like,
very unique combination of things that have never been, quite done like that before.
yeah. Fantastic game, and it's pretty much on everything. I don't think there's, other than the 3DS, I don't think it's on that.
It's not on Xbox.
It's not on Xbox?
Nope.
Oh, well, neither is Microsoft. Hey!
Well, there's another one where the person has only sent me one character. Fucking balls.
I'll just skip it and go to the next one.
Hold on. Undertale's great. Beat the Switch version yesterday. It's good shit. I enjoy it.
I haven't actually played my Switch since Odyssey.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem.
It might be. Because I've bought games since then.
What else do you have?
Oh, wait. No, the last game I played on my Switch was Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's spelled like this. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird title.
Spelled like what? I can't see your joke.
Oh, I just posted it in the chat.
Allies.
Get it?
No.
Those are sleeping noises.
Oh. Thanks.
Because it's boring.
Oh, Zach, you're so edgy with your opinions.
I think it's just like I think it's like what you were saying, just about generally like not liking something. Mm-hmm. How, when what was it, Sonic Forces? How you just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then even Mania, you just kind of don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's the same thing because I mean, Kirby games as a whole, like Kirby was made to be easy. Like the foundation of its design was to be picked up and played by anybody. That was the whole vision with Kirby's Dream Land.
Yeah.
And then so it's a game that's made to be easy. And I was introduced to Kirby through I know you hate it, but Amazing Mirror.
I don't hate it, it's just hard.
It's just hard.
It is. It's confusing.
Mm. But that's like, I was like, wow, this game is freaking, it's like a gauntlet. It's terrifying. And beating the final boss of that game, my heart was pounding. Mm-hmm. It was insane. And then, I move on to like Canvas Curse, and Canvas Curse is also, it's decently hard. It's a little easier. And so on and so forth. Mass Attack was fun. And then you get into the whole Kirby Return to Form thing with like Return to Dreamland. And it's like, this game's kind of easy. Not, but it's fun, at least. Triple Deluxe, same thing. Planet Robobot. Planet Robobot was pretty good. But then, the games are getting like progressively easier as time goes on.
Mike Lucas said that Robobot is actually really challenging.
In some places. It's mostly challenging, like, managing your current ability. Because if you wanna get like, all the parts or whatever they are, you have to have the right ability in the right place. So you constantly have to be like, do I want this or this?
Yeah.
And if you make the wrong choice, you're gonna have to replay the level.
Yeah, 64 is kind of like that. Has a lot of challenges like that too, of like finding the right thing, and then you have to go back and do it properly and all that. So.
Yeah, and you're really motivated to get it right the first time because levels in that game take like 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Because Kirby moves about as fast as
Molasses.
Sonic without his shoes on.
in 64.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game is slow.
Yeah. Also, getting some of the combo powers is actually like kind of hard, and like keeping them and shit.
Yeah. But then that's even like a big thing with it, because no matter what power you have, it's really just for show. Because no matter what you have, the enemy's probably going to die in one hit.
Yeah.
So it's just about what you want to kill them in one hit with. And I was thinking about how much I hate Star Allies just because it's so brain-numbingly easy, and then I was sort of thinking about, well, Kirby games have always been kind of easy. And then I had a crisis of, are these games made for me?
Well, they're made for everyone. They're just
Should they be made for me?
I don't know.
No. No, they shouldn't, is my point. Yeah. They, just because I want a hard game. There are plenty of games I can go play if I want a hard game. Yeah. Kirby does not have to be hard just because I like hard games.
Yeah.
So
I get you.
It's like, yeah, I just kind of had like a moment of selfishness that I had to get over. What sort of games do I find challenging?
What a great question. Who asked it?
Twilight Prince.
Oh.
I've never played that Zelda.
What?
What sort of games do I find challenging? I don't know, Dark Souls.
You love Dark Souls.
I like games where you actually feel like something's at stake. And that doesn't have to mean like the story or anything like that, but like in Dark Souls, obviously when you die you lose your souls, and then the trek down to get your souls back is the most like intense thing ever. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to lose them, and through that comes like a natural fear. So it's not like the game producing the scares for you. If you were to play a horror game, and things are like jumping out at you and stuff, like that's not scary to me. But what is scary is like knowing that I'm actually in real danger.
Yeah, or like you're in danger of like, if you lose, there's consequences, and just like, no, you just try it again. Like it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes your life in the game much more precious, to the point where if something looks intimidating, it's actually like you're actually intimidated.
Yeah. Because it's something is at risk of being lost as a result of it.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I don't want to fuck with that guy. Yeah. Because I have no idea what he's going to do. I've never seen that enemy before. Or you can find an enemy that like you're just historically not good at fighting. And it's awesome because it's not even the game doing it, it's your brain. Yeah. It's like creating this sense of horror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong Country. I really like that.
Still love those games, all of them.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country. Those games are hard as balls, and they are also completely fair. Mm-hmm. There was never a time where I died in a Donkey Kong Country game, and I was like blaming the game for it.
Yeah, masterfully designed. I don't care what fucking anybody says. They're
no, totally. Tropical Freeze is like it's not on my top 5, but I do feel that Tropical Freeze is like one of the most solidly designed games ever made.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, games that, games that have like a brutal but fair difficulty, and instead of the game just being like bullshit hard, you're actually learning and becoming better. You have games like, as far as Dark Souls goes, when Dark Souls was in its prime, as in when the games were still coming out, there were a lot of imitators. There was this game called The Surge that came out that claimed to be like Dark Souls, and it just turned out to be like ridiculously hard. Like enemies had weird hitboxes, and you did way less damage to them than they did to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you guys aren't really getting it, because what you're teaching me is what enemies to avoid outright rather than how to like defeat them.
Yeah.
If this guy's gonna kill me in one hit, then I don't want to bother with him. So good game design. But then you have that one boss in Dark Souls that just pisses you off because you won't stop dying, like you just can't get in. And the reason you keep playing is because eventually you don't want to, like, you're not doing it because it's fun, you're doing it because fuck this boss.
Yeah.
And you just want to get your revenge or something. Yeah, Mega Man. Mega Man's another good one.
I'm a little sad that I'm missing out on 11, but
Why are you missing out on it?
It's intense platforming, and like I need to save my strength for working on animation right now. And I know, and there's other games that, like, with no disrespect to Mega Man 11, I'm very happy that it's around. But like, there's games that are kind of more important to me that I want to play. So I'm like, I can live with skipping out on Mega Man.
Yeah, I haven't bought it either. I've heard mixed things about it. I love Mega Man.
Yeah,
but
I've heard pretty much nothing but good things about it.
I heard that the levels are too long. And like, you gotta, like, if you want to like actually have fun, you have to play it on casual, just because the checkpoints are.
No, that's not true.
What?
That's not true.
Is it not true?
No, it's as challenging as once again, my point of earlier. No, it's as from what I've seen of it, because I've seen like a good number of playthroughs by now. Just because I was like, oh, I'll watch it, No, it's just as challenging as any other classic Mega Man game. Is the reality of it. So, because they're fucking hard.
Hard but fair.
Young but spry, sir. Young but spry.
And it's fun, like, even if you like look up the Robot Master Order, it's still, you still feel like you're doing all right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I basically just games that are, hard enough but fair in their difficulty. Just good game design, really.
Yeah.
I feel like if a game is piss easy to the point where, all you have to do is just sort of walk in a straight line, then it's not my thing. I can see why other people would like to do it, but
can you?
I'm at the point now where I prefer Shovel Knight over Kirby, pretty much.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, Shovel Knight is like a game that is like the closest thing to perfect I could ever ask for, then, like, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is. I want my fucking King Knight DLC, like, don't care how I want it now.
I'm freaking excited because when they announced, what is it, King of Cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they announced that, they also announced at the same time that the whole thing is coming in a physical package. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Switch games, I'm all about that.
I've bought that game a few times now. I think I have it on.
Yeah.
I think I bought it on Wii U.
Yep.
And then on Switch, and I had it on 3DS first. And then
I've owned it. I've owned it on Wii U, Switch. I have it on PS4, and Wii U, 3DS, PS4, and I'm gonna buy it on Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, they can release that game for like the PS7, and I'll still buy it.
Good shit.
I got to carry that with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, it's good. So.
Hat in Time. I have not played it.
You know what's embarrassing? Neither have I.
I keep hearing it's super fun, and this isn't like supposed to be. This isn't meant to be like a slight against anyone, but the graphics they're just they're
they're more GameCube-esque, yeah. But it's a good game.
yeah, they feel kind of like
Mighty Number Nine.
a little,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine.
It feels like the basic capabilities of Unity. And that's like, I keep hearing so many good things about the game, and I just can't get over, like, every piece of footage I see feels really claustrophobic because there's like so much just random stuff, and it's not really like designed in a way that makes it mesh with the world. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like if you take a tree and just plant it into the ground and don't do anything to make the tree look like it's growing out of the ground. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's a lot better in play than it looks.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I wish they'd release a demo.
Well, they did like a while ago.
What?
Yeah.
Was it for backers only?
It was like a beta demo like forever ago. Yeah.
Oh, if you pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll probably get it when it goes on sale.
Hey, it's Alejandro Saab in the chat. Hello.
Who?
My friend Alejandro.
Oh, hi, Alejandro.
He's a good boy. He was one of the backers, and he's a voice actor.
Kagi Films. That sounds familiar.
Yes, he's also a YouTuber, an Ubertuber. Okay, let's see.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard this name before. Boy loves his Broly. That's great, because I love Broly too.
Barori. Did you see the new trailer?
No, but I did see his new design, and I think it looks freaking badass.
Yeah. Like that they accentuated the green.
It's kind of weird though that Frieza doesn't have armor anymore.
That's in the flashback stuff.
Yeah, but he had armor in the flashbacks originally.
Yeah, well, also the flashback is going to be completely different than any of the stuff that you've seen before because Toriyama's just rewriting all of it.
I always hear that he has a tendency to just like constantly forget things.
Well, okay.
He forgets how a character is designed.
Let me give the short version of this. Okay, so Toei created Bardock, right? They did the Bardock special. They made that. The only thing that Toriyama was involved with on that was some of the character designs, and even then he redid the character designs from somebody else. So they were initially done by somebody in-house at Toei. Nonetheless, they did the story themselves, and he liked the story so much because, in his words, based on an interview he gave, because it was something that he never would have come up with himself for a Dragon Ball story. And he liked it so much that in the manga, when Goku meets Frieza for the first time, the part where he remembers, this Saiyan looks like somebody that I've met before, and then he has 2 panels with Bardock, and they show him, and then they show him also getting destroyed by the Death Ball or whatever. And then they have a little thing from the narrator where it's Frieza is remembering the Bardock, Goku's father, the Saiyan who stood up against him just before the planet Vegeta was destroyed, and blah blah blah. So there was that, and then so as a result of that, a lot of fans kind of took Bardock as semi-canon because he was put in the manga, right? And then for a while, Toei was and other places that were doing a lot of these extra things with Bardock. Like there was the episode of Bardock thing, which was he goes back in time and becomes the Super Saiyan somehow or whatever weird bullshit they went with. So there was that, and people didn't like that whole thing very much. It was just kind of a, whatever thing to get people to buy video game DLC and toys of Super Saiyan Bardock. Nonetheless, there was that, and then when Toriyama did the Jocko the Galactic Patrolman manga, which turned out to be a prequel to Dragon Ball, and it's it's like right as Goku lands on Earth. So at the end of Jocko, he did this little one-shot thing called Dragon Ball Minus, where he basically wrote his own version of the Bardock thing, and decided to make him like, his whole thing is that he's actually a rare Saiyan who has compassion and can be nice and things, and so he completely changed what Toei did with him, which was what made him interesting in the first place, which is that, he's kind of a piece of shit, and like finds redemption by the end before the planet is destroyed. But nonetheless, and then they introduced like Goku's mom as like a character in it or whatever, and people were just like, all right, whatever, who cares? So, and they just kind of, it was lame. And the other thing was also the biggest kind of like, face palm that people got out of it was the fact that it's literally the Superman thing where like, go my son, you must survive out there somehow.
Now it is.
Well, no, it was in that manga thing. Like he made it where like literally it's shot for shot the Jor-El thing where like he puts Superman in the pod and then sends him off. Like Toriyama decided to make it into that. It wasn't that originally.
He was like supposed to like blow up Earth like as soon as he landed or something.
Well, no. That was supposedly the case, like according to Raditz. But it's just to be specific. The thing that people are upset about is the fact that Bardock was previously a really interesting character, as Toei had created him, and then Toriyama just decided to like make a new version of him, and it's not as interesting, and it's kind of lame and really derivative. And also this is kind of, in addition to that, but, this is in my opinion, some of the things that happened in the Tournament of Power arc of Super were things that Toriyama, like, very specifically said, like, no, this has to happen because this is how I envision the story, which that's all well and good, but the Tournament of Power arc was really, really, really fucking cool and interesting in concept, and then had a lot of things with it that were not well executed. And some of those things ultimately fell to the ideas that Toriyama himself came up with. So on one hand, I think it's really cool that he is becoming a lot more directly involved with the creative side of the new Dragon Ball stuff that's happening, like these movies and the shows and everything. That also doesn't necessarily mean that everything Toriyama comes up with is gold.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So the rest of the Broly movie stuff looks really, really cool. I am actually open to the fact that it's a new version of him and it might be better and more interesting than what we had, from the previous versions that Toei made themselves. I'm certainly open to that. But the specific thing that people are kind of annoyed about is the fact that, we had like kind of a cool version of what the backstory was and everything and et cetera. And, there's some aspects of it that I'm excited to see done differently. Like, I think it actually is kind of cool that like we're seeing like young flashback Frieza where he doesn't have that armor yet or whatever, to kind of signify that this is in the past and all that.
No, well, it's probably just to like, it's probably mostly to just, make him mesh with Cooler, I think, because...
Well, Cooler's not involved with this. He doesn't have any actual involvement with that.
No, I know, but like Cooler never wore armor.
I don't think that's a factor, personally.
Oh.
I don't think they're like, we have to make sure that he looks like this other character that doesn't matter to this movie that we're making and we're not really doing anything with other than making him the Fighters DLC.
Well, why would Frieza be in it if Cooler's not in it?
Because are you really seriously asking that question?
Well, Cooler just got announced for fighters. I
He's
mean,
been, yeah, but whatever. Who gives a shit? Frieza is like a major, major, major Dragon Ball character that had his own fucking new movie and was like one of the 3 major villains of the series and was made by Toriyama.
I hated that
Cooler was
movie.
in 2 fucking Toei made movies in the 90s and is in video games, and that's about fucking it. Like he has
Cooler
he has
rocks.
no bearing on any of that.
Cooler's awesome. Frieza sucks.
Okay. Cooler doesn't have anything to his personality other than I'm Frieza again, but with less.
Well, neither does Frieza.
No,
Frieza has
no,
nothing to
no,
his personality
Frieza
other
is
than I'm
actually the most
Frieza.
fucking interesting of the 3 main villains of Dragon Ball. Like, hands the fuck down, he's the most interesting.
Boo.
Listen, I love Cell and I love Boo. I go to bat for Boo because people hate Boo today. But no, Frieza is, like, by a fucking landslide, the most interesting of the big 3 villains in Dragon Ball. Like,
At least Boo had an arc.
I mean, sort of, yeah, kind of, and then
Cell's just like, Cell's like, I need to be perfect, and Frieza's like, I'm a dick, and then Boo like has the
Frieza's space Hitler. He's completely fucking like psychotically paranoid about anybody ever being stronger than him, to the point where he chooses to wipe out an entire race of people as a result of that. And like, has this whole disposition where he speaks entirely in this like, you know, passive aggressive, very, very overly polite kind of manner, and then when he doesn't get his way, he turns into a fucking child and throws temper tantrums and, you know, shouts obscenities or whatever. Like, he's fucking interesting. That's why they made a movie. That's why they chose to have Resurrection F and not Resurrection C or B.
But Resurrection F was dumb.
I mean, sure, but that's also the reason why they did it in the first place. It's why they brought him back again in Super, and it's why they're putting him in the movie and made sure that he didn't die at the end of Super. That's the
when you described Frieza just now, you also described the peacock guy from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, which is that's very clearly what he's fucking based on.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
of course, that's exactly what I thought when I saw Kung Fu Panda 2, and to me, not be surprised at all if he was inspired entirely by fucking Frieza.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not interesting because it's a trope.
I find Frieza to be far more interesting than any of the other villains in Dragon Ball.
Oh, that's weird because
like
the whole thing. Sure, but like the whole thing with Boo and Mr. Satan, like, you know, because Mr. Satan is pretty much, I wouldn't call him an antagonist, but he's like a hapless anti-hero. And he sort of, you know, not only does, because you could say that like villain learning the value of life is a trope too, but never have I seen 2 assholes come together and like through this weird relationship they both learn to be better people.
Yeah, no,
like,
that is actually the most interesting thing to me about what they did with Boo was what they did with him and Mr. Satan. The problem is, once Super Boo happens, the interesting aspects of Boo kind of start to dwindle, and they kind of go down as a result of it, which is unfortunate, because I also do think that we get a lot of cool fight scenes as a result, but, you know, like compared to, I think that in succession, like, Cell and Boo became less and less interesting compared to Frieza. I like both of them a lot. I like all 3 of those major villains in Dragon Ball, so I'm not saying that they suck at all. But I'm saying that I think that they became decreasingly less interesting, and part of that is because when they reached their final form, you know, and for Boo, I mean Super Boo. Kid Boo is like his own thing. But when they got their, like, super perfect form, they just become like Frieza again. And we had Frieza already. So that's what I'm saying is like, oh, they just kind of like, that's it? It's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Like Perfect Cell and Super Boo are very much like, yes, and now I'm going to destroy you because I'm amazing. Like,
well, I'm not saying Super Boo. I'm saying Boo, like Majin Buu.
Well, but it's all Boo. I'm talking about Boo as a whole, like the entire. I mean, you talked about his arc, you know.
Yeah, but Boo and Majin Buu are different characters.
I mean, they're all part of the same package. Like, I like
right, but I hate
Yes, Fat Boo is cool. Fat Boo had a cool arc, and I like that. And then it ended, and then they, he stopped, and then they moved on to Super Boo / Evil Boo, and then eventually Kid Boo, and and then that was it. And
You know who the most interesting Dragon Ball Z villain is?
Vegeta.
Garlic Jr.
Good night, Zach. Oh, now he's not going to pick up because he's mad at me. Come the fuck on, Zach. Jesus. Okay, Zach appears to have flown the coop. I'm gonna. Oh, you're in the. I'm not paying attention to the chat, you stupid asshole. Christ. People are so... Oh, there we go. Thankful. I was about to be like, stop making the fucking viewers have to listen to the fucking Skype call noise.
I'm waiting.
People are so... Oh, there we go. Thankful. I was about to be like, stop making the fucking viewers have to listen to the fucking Skype call noise. Oh, turn off the... mute the chat, because it's bleeding through.
I just muted the chat.
Oh, stupid bitch.
I'm waiting.
I'm so sorry that your opinion is the worst.
Sorry for what?
For hanging up on you because you like the worst fucking Dragon Ball villain ever.
What's wrong with Garlic Jr.?
He's lame.
You're lame.
Oh, thanks. Really appreciate that.
Welcome.
I will say this though. I am legitimately surprised at how, like, rare he is ever in video games, considering he did have an entire filler arc in the show.
Oh, well, that shit sucked. I'm talking about Dead Zone.
Yeah. No, Dead Zone's fun.
Yeah.
But,
Gingerbread! Tutti Frutti!
Oh, no, pepperoni!
Stop saying that. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. I keep having to correct you every time you say that.
Because I keep... For some reason, even though the redub is objectively not as good, I keep, like, thinking of cheese, pepperoni. There we go.
Yeah, the filler arc didn't need to happen. It was a totally cool ending that, like, Garlic Jr. gets to deal with being immortal. Like, at the end of the movie when he's trying to break out of the Dead Zone.
Well, they did it just because they were trying to kill time for the fucking androids.
Yeah, which is lame. Did that entire filler arc get cut out in Kai?
Oh, of course, yeah, because it wasn't in the fucking manga.
Thank God.
The whole point of Kai was to just have it be to the timing of the manga. The only thing like that they couldn't cut was stuff that was, like, too soldered into the animation. Like they couldn't, like, Gregory, the little cricket guy at King Kai's place. Like, he's not in the manga. But like it was too difficult to, like, edit him out of the entire show, so they just, like, left him in. Yeah. No, the Garlic Jr. stuff was only for the show, and yeah, it's terrible. But I'm just saying, like, with all the video games, and they have all these fucking characters from, like, all the other, like, spin-off shit and all the movies and everything, I'm just surprised that, like, Garlic Jr. is, like, so rarely ever been fucking utilized for that shit. Like, he was in, like, one of the Tenkaichis, and that's about it.
What, Garlic Jr.?
Yeah.
I think it's just because from a design perspective, he's not very interesting.
I mean, sure, yeah, but, I mean, some of the other movie villains that they use more often, I think, are equally kind of lame looking, but, like, they still... I honestly, Sorry, this goes back to you saying earlier, but like I don't even think that fucking Cooler has that interesting of a design either.
His other form does.
Yeah, like his transform state is cool, but even then, it's still just like it's Frieza again. Like, ooh, so interesting, whatever.
They're the same species.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just like it wasn't Cooler wasn't super creative, like inherently. Like he's just like,
Oh,
oh, it's just free, it's just that again, you know?
yeah. I mean,
You know.
I think a big part of it can be chalked up to just like Toriyama's design philosophies. Not to say that like he likes to make a lot of his characters look the same, but you see, like he always has characters with like long toes, and he always has characters with random like bulbs on their bodies. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can see that shit
Yeah.
in like all of his video game designs too, of course.
No, yeah, you can even see it in like Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
It was really big in Blue Dragon. Like, he loves his lines where it's like, you've got like pinstripes and stuff.
yeah.
And it's really cool. I like the way he designs things. And, I think any artist would be lying if they were to say that there's not even a little bit of Toriyama inspiration in
Oh no, no.
their
I
own
mean,
design.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't fucking hide that shit.
No, not at all. Trying to log into Skype on my computer so I can send you this thing. But I don't remember my password. Nope, and I give up. I'm just going to email it to you.
Just email it in that same chain of when you send the other thing.
Haha, cooler than Frieza.
So funny.
Classic. That wasn't mine. That was Kudo Tsurugi's joke.
Good job, kudos to you. I've done
Yeah, good job.
24. I've done 24 of these guys so far today.
Christ.
So I'm gonna try to make it to 30, and then I'm gonna call it quits. That's
That
kinda
sounds
my
like a
goal
good plan.
It's my goal I'm kind of setting for myself. I'm gonna take some questions from the audience, Mr. Zachary.
Audience, give me questions so I can do my fucking job.
Oh wait, no, you're working on. Sorry, you're working on the thing still. My bad.
No, I'm done. I'm sending it to you.
Oh, okay.
I want the.
Excuse me.
There, I sent it. Is there a way you can animate that to make it look like, a Chrono Trigger flame where it's like waving? Get what I'm saying?
Let's find out. Let's see. That's not exactly what I was trying to go for in the first place.
Okay, I'll redo it. But can you do the wavy thing? Is what I'm asking.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about, and that's also sorry. That wasn't even what I was kind of asking for.
I'll redo it.
Sorry.
Zach, do you remember your first video game? Yes, my first video game was Chameleon Twist 2. It was awful.
Anyway, sorry, I missed
So
that
do you just
question.
want?
What was it?
Oh, what was my first video game?
Oh, what was my first video game?
They asked me, you asshole.
Oh, thanks. Well.
But you can answer also. I just answered.
Oh, thanks, Master. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I think it was probably Mario Brothers for NES, believe it or not.
How original.
Well, it was my sister's copy, and I just played it.
Oh.
She had an NES. I inherited her NES.
I remember it like it was yesterday. No, seriously. So it was my older brother's birthday, or something. I think he got good grades. I don't know. We were buying him a video game, and he chose Ocarina of Time. And I also wanted a video game for no reason. I don't remember why I deserved one, but I ended up getting one, and I got to choose between Destruction Derby 64, Buck Bumble, and Chameleon Twist 2.
Oh, Chameleon Twist.
Yeah, and I chose Chameleon Twist 2 because I was obsessed with chameleons at the time.
Yeah.
And it turns out the game had very little to do with chameleons.
Well, you play as a chameleon.
Allegedly. Have you seen how they look?
Well, Chameleon Twist 2, they made them look more like actual chameleons, didn't they?
Yeah, ugly, ugly chameleons.
Yeah, in the first
And
one,
there was,
they made them like these like big like ball-headed like weird creature things.
yeah,
Like, the first one is great. The second one I don't really know as well.
it's not great.
No. I think I might I think I might have rented 2 like once, and it was like really hard and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so I didn't get very far.
Yeah, it was hard as balls. I bet it would be easy now that I'm a grown boy, but it was hard when I was a kid. I beat it,
Yeah.
but it was hard. Um, and then my second game ever, which I consider to be like the game that actually got me into games, was Final Fantasy VI.
Nice.
Yeah, which and then Banjo-Kazooie came soon after.
Nice. Yeah, I felt really fortunate because since a lot of people that were my age didn't grow up with NES or Super NES. So when I was like, oh yeah, like I played my first Mario game was the original Mario Brothers for well, not the original, Mario Brothers for Super Mario Brothers for NES, right? And fucking a lot of my friends at school were like, oh, my first Mario game was like Mario Kart 64, and I'm like, what? And it blew my mind. But yeah, that was the case for a lot of people, it turned out.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor?
What?
Everything you just said, can you say it again?
No. Next question.
Next question is, what do we think of the Into the Spider-Verse trailer?
What was the question again? Sorry. Zach?
I'm going to say it a second time.
Oh, okay.
You weren't willing to repeat what you said. Why
Sorry,
should I repeat?
I was dealing with something. Sorry.
The next question, the next question is, what did you think of the recent Into the Spider-Verse trailer?
Oh, I think it looks really cool, and I'm gonna go fucking see that shit in theaters because I want more movies like that. Like 100%.
I haven't seen the trailer,
Well,
but I did see the other one with Miles Morales, and let me tell you, I was super disappointed when it was revealed that they wouldn't just let Miles Morales have his own movie.
well, I mean,
But
it was called Into the Spider-Verse from the start. Like, wasn't it obvious that it was going to be about several different Spider-Man?
no.
Well, then that's your fucking problem. I think it was always established from the beginning that it was Miles Morales as the main character, and it involves him meeting all of the other Spider-Men from all the fucking spin-offs and alternate universes and shit. Hence why it is called Into the Spider-Verse.
I thought it was called Into the Spider-Verse as in like it's your, like the Spider-Verse as in like the Spider-Man universe,
Nope.
and it's your
Nope.
it's your passport into the Spider-Verse.
Nope.
Whatever, just give Miles Morales his own freaking movie. Why you gotta have like 10 different Spider-Mans in it?
Because that was the whole premise of the film, is let's have all the different spin-off Spider-Mans in one movie together. And Miles is the main character. Doesn't that count for something?
What?
Miles is the main character of the movie. Doesn't that count for something?
I guess.
Yeah.
I just wish that Miles would be the only character.
Well, I would love that too for a movie, but that doesn't make me not want to see this movie.
That's great. Next question.
Christ.
People think we hate each other.
I'm sure you're fucking talking about me while I was in the bathroom didn't help. Stupid asshole.
Adam Tilford agrees with me. Check out his animated
Adam.
web
You don't know
series,
shit,
Shattered.
Adam.
There are no other questions. Sorry, Chris. Oh, here we go. Hey, Chris. What actually got you into animating? Do we have an hour?
Well, I did a Kerblog about it a lot. It was my first Kerblog I ever did, but the short version is I've always wanted to tell stories, and I've been creating characters and drawing and writing since I was little. I kind of fell into animation. Originally, I was going to learn how to program so I could make video games, and then I realized that I hated programming, and then I picked up a copy of Flash, and I learned how to animate in Flash and make cartoons, and then I taught myself a lot, and then I went to college for it after that, and then as a result, I was able to develop the skill set that I needed to make my stories come to life by animating them. So,
Wow, what a great tale.
That's the very short version.
Right from the heart.
Yes, right from the fart.
Here's the next question. Who the fuck watches Kerblogs?
Yeah, I mean,
that's an actual question.
You know, that's the funny thing. Is not very many people are anymore.
Well, there you go. There you have it.
I do not get very many views on my channel, so.
Yeah.
But I do them. I still do them anyway because if you don't do something on the internet for a day, then people are like, "Did you die? Why aren't you making stuff anymore?" So I just continue to make stuff on YouTube specifically, easy shit like that I can pump out every week, so that people remember that I'm still fucking doing things.
Yeah.
And even still, I still get that reality check once in a while where people are like, "Oh," when I announce a new voice acting role, people are like, "Oh, Kerbifer, I didn't even know he was still doing shit," because all they know of me is the shit that I did on Newgrounds a billion years ago and think that I'm not capable of doing anything else. But for the other people that stick around, I continue to do this. So
I just sent you a thing.
Okay. Excuse me.
People are getting freaking brutal in the chat.
Wow.
Kerblogs, I'd rather watch paint dry.
Wow. Okay, so Zach, the left one of the two that you just sent me, but it should be more sorry, it's hard to describe this. In the example picture that I did, it's rendered, and I tried to do smudge stuff and make it all trailing off and shit. It shouldn't.
Yeah, and I'll do that.
It shouldn't be solid. It should be I don't know how to describe
smoke.
This. Kind of. Yeah.
An essence.
Yeah, kind of like that, I guess. Sorry, I don't know how to describe this right. And also, I don't know how to describe it with that while being in a stream with people listening.
Describe it to me over text or in the chat as something you would see in real life, and I'll be able to quantify that shit.
I don't know how to. Oh, God, I wish I could just get a fucking thing that looks and just do that. But I don't know what.
Excuse me, could I commission you to draw my OC? He's white and has brown hair.
Is that you saying that, or did somebody say that?
No, that's what you're giving me right now.
Great. Sorry.
No, this isn't really what I wanted. He's white and has brown hair.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't. Oh God. You know what? Forget it. I'll.
No.
I don't know. Whatever. I'll have you do it after when you get back from the thing, because I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
I'll get you I'll get you better reference pictures and shit, because I have to do this right now, and I don't know how else to describe it. Sorry.
Good. I just accidentally sent a period. I fumbled on my keyboard trying to get back to the chat.
Oh. sure they appreciated your dot that you sent.
Does anyone have any questions? I'm dying here. You know who this guy you're drawing reminds me of?
Who's that?
The Dino City boss.
Oh, I don't remember what he looks like.
Um,
Never actually played Dino City.
he's the dinosaur in the jacket. Do you remember?
I don't.
And he like he changes jackets like mid fight.
I actually don't remember that.
Oh my gosh.
Was it in the video by that one guy? You know the one?
The Jontron video?
Yes, good. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he in
Yeah,
that?
it was.
'Cause I don't remember.
Oh. Oh, that's this guy reminds me of. Hey, I know that Boo.
You do. I know this Boo too, and I know this ninja too. This is from the get-go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's like a musician, right?
I don't know. I know that these two guys are friends of Gaijin Goombas.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, they're both cool. I think I've talked with them before. They're nice. They're nice folks.
How did me and Chris first meet? You don't want to know.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Okay. You know what? Here, Zach. I'm gonna do this now, just while I'm remembering. Okay. Can you pull up the original picture that I sent? The something like this thing.
Yeah, but it's still a transparent background, and I can't make it out because
Sorry,
Skype is
I
a.
just pull up the original one that I sent you with the white background. I don't have time right now.
No, I'm looking at it.
Okay. So, like, in the one that I did, I tried to, like, make it, like, trailing off, like, with the smudge tool and shit, but it looks, like,
Yeah.
awful. Like, okay, you know what? Like smoke. Like a smoke vortex. That's what I mean. Does that make
A
sense
smoke
at all? I don't,
vortex.
I'm really sorry. I really don't know how to, like, describe it exactly.
Okay, well, if you want to describe it in a spoilery way, maybe we should wait.
No, because I know that you don't have much time before you gotta leave. I don't want to just, like, leave you hanging. Just like try it more like a storm, like a storm cloud, like kind of like a swirling, like a vortexy kind of like a storm cloud. Does that make sense?
What?
Like less like a flame, like the one that you were sending before, and more like a smoke.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you still do the thingy?
What do you mean?
You know, when Lavos shoots his laser and then the explosion comes up out of the floor and it's like...
No, I don't think I can... I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. Just show me something, and then I can
I'm
enhance
trying.
it better.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try wavy fire. Let's see if that works. It doesn't work.
Here, you know what? I'll say this much: do it as if it's not going to be animated. Do it as if it might just be like a single image.
Fine.
Because I don't know if I'll be able to animate it or not anyway.
This is what it's like.
This is actually more difficult to figure out the specifics of than like characters that you've done. Which is really
Usually
saying something.
Usually he'll send me a sketch of a character and he'll be like, "Do this but cooler," and I'm like, "Okay." But he sent me this thing. He's like, "Do this but cooler," and it's been like it's been a full day, and I'm like, "What the fuck do you want?"
You've not been working on it for a full day.
No, I haven't, but I've been like thinking about it.
Oh.
So is it coming out?
Yes.
So he's in it. It's not a part of him.
No, it's not a part of him. It's he's in it. Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. I believe in you.
Trying to. Here, let's see if I can.
How do you? Where have you seen the Boo Girl before?
The Boo Girl.
Alochi, the characters that I'm doing.
Oh, I've just seen like Gabby retweet her.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I don't
Like,
know. I wonder if they know each other. They might.
I don't know. Gabby retweets her, so.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what I assume to be the guy whose character you're drawing right now is in the chat.
Oh, Gecko Ninja?
Just based,
Oh,
yeah, just based on his
dude.
avatar. I'm just
Hey.
gonna make a shot dark here and assume that that's him.
Yeah, that's super cool. Hey, thanks, man. Thank you for doing. I think he, if I'm remembering right, I think that he and Alochi both also donated to season 2 of the show as well, if I'm remembering right. Thank you guys.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. Seriously.
Check out the Gecko Ninja on wherever he tends to be.
I think he streams with Goomba.
He streams a Goomba,
I think.
I think.
It's just like one of those
Good
like
plug.
it's one of those like commercials. And just like the quote is like appearing like as the person saying it, and it's like got the stutters in it, and like today, finance your life tomorrow, today.
Come and eat some shit, you stupid fucking kid. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. I was just rewatching Morty's Mind Blowers the other day.
I don't know what that is.
It's the season 3 equivalent of the interdimensional cable episode.
Oh, where like it's like all the different things in the room, and then Summer just comes in and does the thing.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
I tried my best to say that without spoiling anything, as if it matters.
I thought you were going to say, I tried to explain that, but I didn't do a very good job, just like Chris didn't on the thing that I'm doing for him right now.
Oh, well. I'm glad you're doing enough depreciating for the both of us.
I'm sorry.
It's good to know that treating you like garbage isn't a full-time job.
Oh, Zach. Fuck you.
I fucking hate you. Can't even direct smoke right.
Direct smoke. That's the new NVIDIA graphics card, and direct smoke.
Direct smoke.
Like DirectX. Remember that? Oh, dude. Okay, because you reminded me because we were talking about DBZ movies earlier today. Did you ever have a Real Media Player back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you download like clips of like anime or like anime openings or like from like shit like that, and they'd be like really terrible quality.
Yeah.
on like your Real Media Player fucking video player thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Remember that? Good.
Can you get to the point?
Anyway, next topic.
Wait, was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
You didn't have a point?
No.
Oh,
I
God.
just wanted to reminisce with you of a simpler time.
Remember Armor Games?
No.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. What's Armor Games?
Wait, you're kidding.
No, I'm not. What's Armor Games?
It's like Newgrounds for people who don't know what Newgrounds is.
Oh, I remember like what's something like that? I remember like Free Arcade. FreeArcade.net was one that I used to go to a lot, like in elementary school.
Yeah, on the school computers.
Yeah. No, Armor Game was it like Java games, like that kind of stuff?
No, they were all Flash.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I played a lot of Java games before I played Flash games.
There was this game called Armed with Wings.
Huh.
If anyone has ever played Armed with Wings, please say so I can gush about it.
Similarly, if you've played WikiWoo, let me know.
I don't know what WikiWoo is.
WikiWoo is like a shitty Mega Man rip-off thing that was a Java game.
If I Google it, am I gonna like you less?
I don't know.
WikiWoo.
WikiWoo, if you can wiki, I can.
Oh yeah, that sure does look like it was made in Java.
Yeah. And like all the sprites were very clearly like traced over Mega Man stuff.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Stinko Man.
Oh yeah, well Stinko Man was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I remember. I remember Sting going da na 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 da da
Whoa!
da 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 da
With the
da
with the with the
da da.
final level that they'll never make.
Whoa!
No way. That was the Stinko Man Strong Bad email was one of the first cartoons I'd ever seen from Homestar Runner.
That was like Homestar Runner was like the original, like, you know, do you have any funny YouTube videos to share at parties thing?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I
Like,
remember I actually I don't think I've ever told this story before. I found Homestar Runner before Newgrounds was around like just as long, I believe, but I found Homestar Runner before Newgrounds. And then I remember because this one guy who was like kind of my schoolyard bully that I had like a like not really friendship with, but just like we'd talk about shit sometimes, like in class if we were bored, and then he'd be a dick to me later. Like one of those kind of kids. um, I remember I was like, oh dude, Homestar Runner. He's like, that shit's stupid. Newgrounds is better. Like he just meant like Newgrounds in general, you know. And I was like, oh, what's Newgrounds? And then I found that, and then I found like Legendary Frog and the Zerbs Brothers and Super Flash Brothers and all like the classic stuff and everything. But Homestar Runner, dude, Homestar Runner still holds up like amazingly well. Seriously, like I'll still go back and like rewatch like a lot of the old like Strong Bad emails and stuff because this shit's great. Did you die, Zach? Zachary? Dude?
hi, I'm
Oh,
back.
what the fuck happened?
I went to I went to go get some water.
Oh, you silly bitch.
Can you repeat everything you just said?
Oh, you know what? For you, sure. I was saying that I found Homestar Runner before I found Newgrounds, and then also I was saying that the Homestar Runner cartoons still hold up like remarkably well. And I still go back and rewatch a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, they're great. I like the one where oh, you know what? That's just fucking Trogdor. Never mind.
Trogdor's cool.
No, I like Trogdor, but I was gonna say I really like I was gonna say I like the one where like Strong Bad's trying to teach everyone how to draw,
Yeah,
and
that's the Trogdor one.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And Strong Sad has like this really awesome dragon,
Yeah.
and then Strong Mad's just carving like a word into the
He's writing Dacron into the fucking...
yeah into the table.
I'll conspire you. Yeah, Homestar Runner's still fucking great.
They still going? Because I remember they had like a revival.
Yeah, they'll do new cartoons like once in a while. They're kind of seldom these days, but they'll do like Halloween stuff, I think, here and there and things like that. So.
Okay.
Fuck. Oh, fuck. Fucked it up.
Oh, classic. Do you remember? Oh shoot, what was it called? There was this Flash series on Newgrounds about Mario getting possessed by booze.
I don't know. I don't. That doesn't
And
sound
he
familiar.
and he like goes on a freaking like murder spree.
I mean, that sounds about right for that era of Newgrounds, but I don't remember that one specifically.
Oh.
I remember Rise of the Mushroom Kingdom, which was like melodramatic as fuck.
Yeah, I remember that one too. I remember thinking like I didn't know that like Mario Brothers 3 even existed.
Really?
Yeah, so I remember thinking like why are they using this fucked up Bowser sprite?
Like the Mario 3 Bowser sprite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I mean, the 20 bajillion Mario versus Sonic cartoons. I remember all of the the Mario Luigi like Matrix thing, which was pretty impressive for back then.
I think that's what I was talking about, where they're like fighting, right?
Yeah, he's fighting like a billion Luigis, and it's the scene from the Matrix where Neo fights
Oh.
all the different. He's
Never mind. I'll have to show it to you because it's kind of the same thing, and it's like Mario gets possessed by booze and kills a bunch of toads, and then Luigi tries to stop him, and they have like a really big like Matrix style battle
Oh,
that kind of goes on a bit too long, but it's
yeah,
still really impressive.
yeah. Did you ever watch Mario Brothers Z?
I don't think so.
No. Do you know what that is?
I remember clicking on it, and it's like previously on Mario Brothers Z, and I was like, this is a travesty because I take Dragon Ball way too seriously as an 11-year-old boy.
It was really, really, really popular on Newgrounds. And actually, the guy who created it, Alvin Earthworm, taught me a trick in Flash that was instrumental in any of my later stuff from basically like Parody Rangers 2 forward working, because
Was it how to delete your project and start over?
no, it was fuck off. It was no. He taught me a trick in action scripts, how on how basically how to elongate a Flash movie to be longer than the general capacity for it could be.
Yeah.
And so that was what allowed me to do like most of the later like long form stuff that I did on Newgrounds for a good like several years. So big shout out to Mark Haynes, Alvin Earthworm for helping me out with that. He's a good dude.
Apparently, he got the DMCA. He got the fuck out of him. Nintendo DMCA'd the fuck out of him. Is what I was gonna say.
Because he was doing he was bringing back Mario Z for a bit, and I think he did a Patreon for it, and then they were like, nope. So, which that's within their right, but
Whatever.
yeah, it sucks for him. But no, he's a good dude. I don't know what he's been up to as of late.
Do you remember? Oh man, who was it? It wasn't Legendary Frog. It was someone else. But do you remember that Kingdom Hearts Flash series where like
No, I don't think
Dora has?
I don't think I saw any Kingdom Hearts ones.
Oh, it was so funny in junior high school. It probably wouldn't be funny now, but it was like this Kingdom Hearts series, and it was just like off the walls, batshit like crazy.
Huh.
Dora has like a pet slug named Fluffy, and it's humor that a 16-year-old would find hysterical.
Yeah.
He's got a pet slug named Fluffy, and they're on Destiny Island, and Fluffy goes into the water, and since it's salt water, he dies.
No, Fluffy.
Yeah, and Sora's like, no.
Oh my god. I remember. What the? I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was something like really basic sounding. It was like Sonic like Uncut, or something like that. And it was like all the Sonic characters. They like lived in like a house, and they have like a party, and like Shadow has like a fucking talk with Tails that's funny, and there's like a music video sequence where they're like driving a car and they like race with Metal Sonic, and he's like being a dick or whatever. Does anybody remember that? And it had that song that was "Holla Back, Young and Woo Woo," "Holla Back, Young and Woo Woo," or whatever. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I cannot remember what it's called, but that was an old favorite. It was actually like pretty well put together. Like I remember like the voice acting not being like fucking horrendous for Newgrounds. And they had like a real cast. It wasn't just like two people doing everything.
Oh, well, that's good at least.
Yeah, yeah. Because most of the time it would just be like the animator and like their friend, or sometimes it'd just be the animator.
Yeah. Well, my first ever animation project, it was just me.
Did you voice in your own thing before?
Yeah, it was a school project, and it was about there's a police station, and a guy goes into the police station and starts like Matrix style shooting up a bunch of cops. And then one of the cops like grabs his trench coat and pulls it off, and it's just revealed that he's like a shark. And he's like a shark with human legs, and he runs away, and he jumps out the window and falls into the ocean, and the cop's like, "I'll get you someday." And then it was a 10-minute long film. There were only like 5 minutes of animation, and it was really bad Flash animation. It was like I'd draw the picture, and then for them walking, I would just tween them going up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there was actually 5 minutes of quote unquote animation, and the rest of the film was. Have you seen Splash?
No.
The one about the mermaid and Tom Hanks.
No,
Oh man, that's a good movie. You should watch it.
I should.
Yeah, but there's this song that plays at the end called "Love Came for Me," and the end of the film is literally like the entirety of that song playing over a montage of sharks swimming together in the ocean.
Oh, very
Yeah,
artsy.
yeah, and everyone in my class hated it.
Uh
The
huh.
project was like we would watch each other's films, and then the class would like review the film.
Uh huh.
And my entire class was like, I was so glad when this movie was over. And I got an A.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
because I was still in high school when I started doing some of my early like new. Well, I all of TTA I did when I was in high school, and then I finished it when I was still in high school as well. And then Parody Rangers was 2006, so that was like close to the end of high school. I did the first two when I was still there, um, and yeah, and like by that point, I was just so like, I didn't care like what like the people at my school thought anymore. I had like checked out more or less, and so I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and it was nice because I felt like happy and I was like doing what I loved, and it was nice.
yeah.
But yeah, I think the only stuff that my classmates would see that was like of my animation was like, yeah, if it was like what you described, where it was like a school project, so it was like part of the assignment. We all had to like watch each other's stuff or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
and actually, even believe it or not, the Mario RPG music video, the Rost Forest one, the original one, I did that for a school project originally
Dope.
for my high school animation class, which barely constituted as an animation class because I already knew how to use Flash by that point. I made that in a week. I made Rost Forest in a fucking week, and then it became the smash hit sensation that it is today.
It took you that long?
You know, I know. What the fuck was I thinking, Zach?
Boyhood's a good movie. It took 12 years to make. Hey, I emailed you something important.
Oh my god, Zach! Holy
Yeah.
shit! Give me a
It's
fucking.
really important.
Okay, give me a minute, and I'll go look at it. Okay. I wanna fly. Let's see. Thank you for that. Stupid ass.
If you could just show that.
No, I'm gonna not do that. Thank you.
Just show it.
God, no.
They were asking for it.
No, shut up. Oh my God,
They were.
no.
Apparently, Alochi requested sexy legs, so just show the damn picture.
Oh my God. What the fuck is it? All right, here's Zach's masterpiece, everybody, because he thinks he's so fucking funny. There you go. Anyway,
Beautiful.
I'm getting close.
Absolutely gorgeous.
I know. Absolutely flawless.
Yeah. Someone could give me Alochi's Twitter handle. I'll go ahead and send that right her way. Their way, whoever it is.
That one.
Thanks, James Porter.
Here.
How many you got left?
Let's see. That is makes in total. I've done 131 out of what will hopefully be a total of 220 if I also get the other ones that haven't been, completed yet.
I meant, how are you? How many you got left for this stream?
Oh, did I do? Hold on. And then... Okay, I've done 30. All right. Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, oh no, already?
No, how can this be? Yeah, we can call it quits for here. So cool. Excuse me. Okay, thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will not be streaming tomorrow because instead I will be putting up a Kerblog interview with my next Voice October guest, the lovely Miss Monica Rial, who is the voice of Bulma.
Who the fuck is that?
She's the voice of Bulma and Suyu and like a billion anime characters. Like, you cannot imagine how many she is. She's my guest representing Texas this year, and she's super awesome, and I'm very thankful that she came on to be part of that. So I look forward to that tomorrow at noon PST. I'll be back to streaming on Wednesday. Zach, thanks for joining.
I'm sorry.
Being Shotmaster. Why are you sorry? You guys can't see, but he has a picture of young Fred Savage looking at me, all like, "Come on, Chris, I'm your friend, dude. It's all good, man."
Eventually, that'll be my avatar everywhere.
Yes. You can follow Zach on Twitter at Dying Mars if you want to check out his excellent artwork and shit. So.
At your own risk.
No, do it. He's lovely. So. He's worked super fucking hard on this game. He's done like an innumerable amount of character design work on like a ton of characters that you guys haven't even seen yet, actually. But you will be seeing them in due time, including.
Can't wait for the NDA to break.
Yes, actually, I think there's a few particular ones we're going to reveal during the anniversary stream this year. I've got some particular ones that I'm planning to show off, so look forward to that in November. But anyway, that'll do it. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you all on Wednesday. Have a good one.
Bye.